Hello everyone, my name is Anangsha Alammyan and welcome back to my channel. On today's chat, I have with me a very special guest. If you're on Medium, you'd know him as the editor of Invisible Illness, and his name is Ryan Fan. Apart from being just an editor of a major publication, Ryan is also an amazing writer, and he publishes these awesome articles at such an insane pace. Like just today, I was checking his profile, and he has written around 6 articles in the last 24 hours, which is crazy and amazing. So, on today's chat, I'm going to pick Ryan's brain and see what it takes to be the editor of one of the major publications on Medium, and what goes into his writing process, and what it's like to be Ryan fan. So, without further ado, let's welcome Ryan to this chat.
Hey everyone, thanks for the really warm invitation and introduction. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Ryan, for being here. I'm so excited for this chat.
Me as well. Thank you for fitting me into your busy schedule.
So, before we go ahead, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? A small introduction straight from you.
Yeah, so I am a second year special ed teacher. So I teach English and special ed, so 2 certifications in Baltimore City, in America. It's a very, it's a busy job, but we're in the middle of a pandemic, so I'm about to go back into in-person instruction and stuff. But as for Medium, it was just a fun hobby, and it still is. So I started in March of 2019 when I was in my senior year of my undergraduate studies, and then I just continued since then. I was writing a lot beforehand, so it was a pretty smooth transition, but getting used to the Medium landscape and the audience was different from what I was doing for my college newspaper and stuff before. So that was that.
Oh, that's great. I mean, you have been writing for a while then before Medium. So, like, how has Medium changed your writing, like, as a writer and as a person? Has it changed your mindset?
Yeah, it's definitely changed. Made me explore a lot more. I see writing as something that's really fun, and like something that's my passion. I would never really do it as my main job because I feel like with all that pressure, that would take a lot of the fun out for me. Um, so yeah, just exploring new topics. Like I started to get more into humor writing, some longer pieces as well, and just making it, a big extension of like, I think a lot. So I think, right, if you think a lot and you write, it's a good way to put your thoughts onto the paper.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, that's same for me as well. But how do you manage time? I mean, you're teaching as well, and you have like you do so many other things like you work out, you go for a run. So how do you manage time to be a writer as well as an editor?
Uh, yeah, I actually don't have that many structures, routines. Just making sure to sleep a good amount every day. Try to take care of myself. Like, uh, I try to set my boundaries with work at the very least. It's a very consuming job, so trying to, I see writing as kind of my break from it. And like, I'm in this master's program for education as well, which is it's a whole nother story. But just doing whatever comes naturally in the moment. And I think recently I've just been trying to like slow down. Really, just actually slowing down my pace has made me uh, more productive and more able to write because um, it's hard to feel the pressure to pub. I don't like the pressure to publish, and I try to really resist it as much as I can. Actually, so that might be counterintuitive, but it works for me.
Okay, so like if somebody is just starting out on the platform, what tips would you give them to maintain the consistency? Because you have this insane pace. You just say you want to slow down, but you have written so much in the past few days. So, what are some tips to maintain the consistency and also the wide variety of topics that you write about?
Yeah, I think that may be the number may be a little deceptive because waiting on publications, that kind of stuff, you don't control when a publication publishes. So some of those pieces have been in the works for a good amount of time. So that, it's a process. It's not like I wrote them all in 2 days, in 2 days. Um, they were ideas I've had for a while. They were, they were drafts I've been working on for weeks per se. So it's not, it's not like it's over, it's not overnight success um, or anything like that. You have to be really patient. I would say read a lot, build with the community. Definitely, if you respect a lot of writers, I mean, I can shout out a lot right now. Like when I was first starting out on the platform, I remember um, it was yeah, like in March of 2019. I really liked John Gorman stuff, or um, Shannon's always been around as well, so I always liked her writing as well, just early on. So just reading a lot, seeing people you respect. Like I don't try to don't try to emulate people's style because this like is your style at the end of the day. But um, just finding those inspirations and then writing itself is the most important thing. So
Yeah, that makes sense because when I was starting out, even like reading a lot gives you a lot. It even gives you many ideas, right? What topics you can.
yeah, completely agree with that.
So, uh, like you have been on Medium for over a year, like since March 2019, like almost 2 years. So,
Mhm.
what would you say is the anatomy of your most successful article, like the one that has made the most amount of money?
Yeah. Ironically, that's probably the one I wrote about Jared from Subway, and it was just doing that was like a more research heavy one, and it's like a salient thing. So it was like I really did not expect it to take off like that. There were others I put a lot more time and work into, and they didn't have that kind of like takeoff mode. So I think a good rule of thumb is that if you're thinking about it and you're talking about it with your friends or you're talking about it online, then it's probably something that people are interested in. Um, so if it's something that you think about a lot, I mean, I'm wrong in a lot of cases because I have plenty of pieces that kind of top out even if they get curated at like 100 views or so. So you know, um, I don't really know if there's a formula. Like sometimes things just break your way, sometimes they don't.
I was just reading the Jared article. Like it's pinned on your profile, right? It has like so many claps and so much engagement. So it's just amazing that mostly people think that the only kind of articles that do well on Medium are about personal development. But this is like a story and it's true crime, so it's very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. You mean if it interests you, it's probably interesting to other people. So that's just a good rule of thumb.
Definitely. So, how did the idea of starting a publication come to you, and why did you choose this particular niche?
Yeah, so I didn't start Invisible Illness. I joined on. Meredith still runs the publication, and she's great. She really supported me to come on and join the team. So, I just edit the pieces now. I was in charge of accepting new writers for a while, but I really wanted to help out the publication because it is, mental health is a very special topic to me. I've been very involved in um, a lot of activism, and we have our personal struggles in my family and stuff. So I definitely wanted to. I was writing for Invisible Illness at first, and then in July or June, it was late June of 2019, I started um, helping edit for the publication. So um, I don't want to take like a lot of credit. It's just doing the work and building on what she had started back in like 2016, 2017.
Oh, I actually didn't know that because when I joined, I saw all my pieces were accepted by you in the publication. So I thought you are the owner of the publication, but this is
No, yeah, just editor. So
Because actually, I didn't know about this. But it's a great publication because all the stories I wrote there have been curated.
mhm.
So it doesn't matter if they get views or not, but if you get curation, it feels like a stamp of approval, right? So
Yeah,
I like the value curation more than views per se.
yeah. I certainly do, and like I really do try to push piece. Like I think I have a good grasp of what can does or doesn't get curated at this point when I'm editing. So like at first when I edited, like there's a lot of I mean, I definitely saw like I didn't want to make anyone angry. I was just like I didn't want to be too interfering, with anyone's voice, and I'm still like that, but you don't. I guess like initially I was too, you know, publish everything, just put it out. But now it's like being more selective and just doing what's best for the publication as well. So that's like, you know, my least favorite part of editing is rejecting. I don't like telling people that we're not going to take a piece for whatever reason. So it's definitely made me grow in my own writing as well.
Like I also have a publication and I feel so sad to reject writers. So how do you deal with that? Like I still, like you said initially, you had to publish everything, right? Even I feel the same way. I don't want to reject anything because it feels so great that the writer chose to publish their story with our publication. So how do you go about it? I mean, how do you make sure that the person whose work you're rejecting doesn't feel bad or doesn't take it personally? Any tips for that?
Yeah. I mean, this was something I initially struggled with a lot, but um, mainly just, like I reject a lot of high quality pieces because they're not a good fit for Invisible Illness, just a mental health publication. So just making sure that the writer knows, like it's not a knock on the quality of your writing or anything like that. It's just fit. So sorry, fingers. Yeah, it's just fit in terms of the publication. So that's what I make sure to tell them, and do it as kindly as you can. So I'm, always encourage them to submit again. Always, if I think there's a better fit for a publication, I'll point them that way as well. So that's what I do at least.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? Because if you tell them where else they can publish their work, it's a win-win for both them and the other publication, and even they don't mind too much being rejected. So that's a good tip. I'll keep that in mind. So,
Yeah.
like you said that sometimes they are not a fit, not a perfect fit for the publication. So, what would you say are the requirements of an invisible illness article?
Yeah. So you know that self help, self personal development, um, you know, self improvement, that kind of stuff is really big on Medium, and we definitely get a lot of pieces that are a little too self help oriented and not um, the most about mental health. There's a lot of intersections, but there is distinction per se. So I think just having credibility, whether you are like a licensed clinician or you have your personal mental health story, is really important. I think, especially with the attention span of people these days, establishing credibility early on a certain topic. So if if you are a psychologist, have like our social workers, psychologists, have these licenses, degrees, whatnot, to really like play up their experience a bit. You don't want to be too like, I don't know what the right word, too boisterous, or too self-aggrandizing. That's the word I'm looking for. But playing up the credibility is really important, especially for mental health pieces. And I think another really important thing for us is not extrapolating personal story, your personal mental health advice or what works for you to the reader, at least without research, because misinformation is it's just like so big on the internet these days. So it's really important to do our due diligence.
That's so important, like not extrapolating your advice on others, but that would require a lot of research, right, for someone who's not a licensed practitioner of mental health and someone who's just sharing a personal story. So how do you validate the research that if it's correct, or is it just some pseudoscience that they are quoting? Do you actually check through every link that is there in the article?
Yeah, we definitely do check through every link. We try to, you know, I mean, definitely know a lot of psychology today is quoted, so that's a pretty established, prestigious publication per se. And some people go for the more academic one, so always make sure to check the primary research. Uh, and along the lines of, we take plenty of pieces that are more personal, just personal essays, but don't give, but if you're trying to give that advice to a reader in terms of like, meditate, do yoga, stop reading the news,
Anyway, yeah.
yeah, like then it's just like, all right, we got to push you to substantiate that a bit more.
Right. So, do you also take pieces that are simply personal stories that don't have any takeaways per se, but maybe it's the journey of the writer through their mental health issues and how they came out. If it's just on a personal level, do you take such pieces?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and all the time. I think it just really depends on uh, how strong it is. I don't like sometimes you just feel, it's a gut like decision whether to take it or not. So I can say like, you know, if you for a personal essay, I feel like, I do have to rely on just intuition and be like, wow, this really blew me away, or it's just like, like, is this something we've already seen before a bunch of times. So that's all I can say about that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because that blew me away factor needs to be there in any story you read, right? Otherwise, what's the
Mhm.
point of reading same generic content?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So you said you have there's a team of editors, right, on Invisible Illness. So how do you
Mhm.
coordinate the decisions between each other, and how do you maintain the queue?
Yeah, so if I'm not sure on something, I'll send it to I'll send it into like the Slack chat we have, and the other editors, Meredith, Marie, and Juliet, they've also done a lot to, it's a team. It's always a team effort to clear the queue, um, to get the new writers form. We get like 10 a day, so that's like, we can't really reply to everyone, but just, sometimes I mean, I know how frustrating it is to wait for 2, 3 days at a time. So I really try not to um, have people wait that long. But sometimes, it is, it unfortunately it is inevitable with like 20, 30 articles in the queue. So just taking it one at a time, asking for help. We definitely, even though it seems like sometimes like, oh wow, we have like 30 submissions, how are we going to do this? We get through it. So
Right. So do you have separate people for different jobs, like someone whose specific job is only to add new writers and other people who are only looking at the queue, or do you just get to it whenever you're free, depending on your schedule?
yeah, like we have a looser structure now. Like we just get to it whenever we're free. I was in charge of the new writer queue at the beginning, and I definitely had to ask for help with that. Since I was, just because it was just coming out. 10 a day is a lot to go through. I can't really check it every day. So having that help from Marie and Juliet, um, they were really helpful with that. So just now it's just, if you have time, you get to it. Everyone's pretty much volunteering.
Does it happen to you that you're opening one article on a queue and you already see a note by some other editor? So if that happens, do you just let it be or do you continue reading that piece?
I just continue reading. I don't like, I know publications mainly reject based on fit, not really based on um, quality, but sometimes I will see like rejections from like PS I love you, The Ascent, Mind Cafe, and then I'm just like, okay, let me see, um, what this person can do to improve, and it does make me more inclined to just be like, oh, they rejected it, I wonder why, like that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I do try to give it my own due diligence as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. So, what's your vision for this publication, Invisible Illness, for this year, or say 2 years down the line? Have you thought about anything?
Uh, yeah, I mean that was definitely something we were just being more selective about what we did take over the past year, which we can only speak to how what we've done and how far we've come, but uh, we've been able to maintain over 80% curation for the publication for like 5 months or so now. So just trying to help writers improve, trying to help them reach the audiences they want. That's like a big target of ours. And recently we started a Twitter channel and Instagram page. So Sarah Becker has started helping with that. She's been doing great. So just helping writers promote their work more would be helpful too.
And you are also on Facebook, and you also have a Facebook page. That's a lot of social media activity you are doing apart from Medium, right?
Yeah. So the Facebook page for writers is just like to make announcements and stuff. To share threads, I think writers appreciate. Since that's a smaller group, they appreciate the chance to share their work and read other people's work as well. So I think it's really helpful.
Yeah. And so, like, this might be a tough question, but is there any article that's published in Invisible Illness that really stood out and you still remember it, even though it's been a while since it was published?
Yeah, there are definitely a lot. But if I were to choose, like I shared one from Martha Manning about she wrote about her miscarriage, and it was just a very, very touching piece. I shared it on the Facebook page just because I was like blown away by the quality of the piece, and also that we have a writer named Sherry, Sherry Heller. She's a social worker, and she writes about kind of personal experiences as well as clinical experiences dealing with narcissism and narcissistic abuse. So she always does really, really well, and I'm always honored to publish her work as well. So please check them out if you get the chance.
That's so interesting. I've never read articles by the authors that you mentioned. So it would be great. I'll just check them out. I'm sure they would be really interesting. So, if there was something that you wish writers did that would make your job as an editor easier, what would that be?
Yeah, we always appreciate more research whenever it's warranted. I think something else is like kind of just resisting trends. I feel like is valuable too, just because I do feel like there's so much pressure on Medium to write self-help, self-improvement, that kind of stuff. So, and sometimes it comes off as really preachy, and just be like, okay, like, we do see a lot of it that gets sent into us. So, just trying to, it would make it easier if I'm sorry, that's the dog. The nebulous self-help stuff were more like mental health oriented, just like in my case. So it's difficult to say universally.
Right. That obviously makes sense. So, like since Invisible Illness is so respected and has so many followers, so what is something really great that has happened to you because you are the editor of such a major publication?
I write some about teaching mental health and just the stressors of the job, and I live with my roommate over here is a teacher as well, and most of my friends here are teachers, so I was able to I applied with just my experiences as a writer and as a special ed teacher onto psychology today. So that's something that was really cool to get, and they gave me that Invisible Illness was able to lead me to. So that was like yesterday. So I published my first one.
That's really amazing. I didn't know that you have been published with Psychology Today, so that's great. Congratulations on that. So, like as a writer, what are your goals on Medium as well as off the platform?
Yeah, I don't, I'm not really sure. I just keep writing, having fun, and then if it doesn't, if it gets too tedious, I'm not on the write every day train at all, or trying to force out, even if it may seem like it, trying to trying to write even when I don't feel like it, because I do feel like, you know, what's the point? I don't know. It's like if you wanted to, I feel like if you're writing to make money, it's a really tough gig. Like sometimes in the Medium community, if someone's making like $10,000 a year on Medium, you're just like, whoa. But like, you know, $10,000 a year is not like a wage in America that pays the bills. So it's like, not. I try not to keep it like money focused or metrics oriented.
That's very valuable because if money is your sole motivator, it's very easy to get lost, right? Especially if you don't make money in the first few days. It's so easy to get demotivated and stop writing. And many writers I've seen on Facebook pages, they keep complaining that their pieces are not making money. But if you just remember your reasons for writing, then it's better. You will not get demotivated. So, so apart from that, if you had to give, say, three pieces of advice to a writer who's just starting out on Medium, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, one is read. Two, it may sound a bit privileged not to, not to worry about money, but my first month I made $6, and I was thrilled because I'd never made money off of writing before. So yeah, don't focus too much on the money and just have fun with writing. I think one thing too is I did an interview with Amir Kamal, and he was talking about um, writing about what you think readers want to read versus, he wanted to do more of engineer. He's an engineer, so he wanted to write more about engineering, math stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, like, I think you should write about what's in your expertise. Medium, like, especially the medium publications like 1.0, like 1.0, Forge, Human Parts, whatever. They always, I mean, like, if you're an expert at something, don't shy away from it just because you think people won't be interested. That's a big piece of advice that I think I wish I learned sooner.
That's very true. I mean, it applies to me also because initially, because I'm from India and most of the Medium audience is from the US. So I thought people would not be interested in hearing my stories because it's so different from what they're used to. But when I started writing about cultural stuff, specific stuff that's to India, these stories actually had more engagement than the generic self-help pieces. So I think this is a great advice that whatever is your advantage, your unfair advantage, or whatever is something that you are really experienced or passionate about, you should always write about them. So that's great advice. So thanks so much for all these amazing tips that you gave us. So before we conclude this interview, is this chat session, is there any question that I didn't ask you, but you wish I had asked you, or something that you really want to talk about regarding Medium or the publication or your writing journey?
Oh, yeah, I guess just based on that expertise part. Um, I know like you've been published in Better Humans a lot. You've done a really good job, and that's something I find like if you're trying to get into Better Humans or any publication, like just really stressing your expertise. Like the ways that you're an expert at something, because I mean everyone's an expert at something. So I never thought people would want to read my pieces about like running per se. I didn't think they were that applicable, but I've been able to get a lot of running related pieces into the publication. And you know, um, I think there's good advice to writing for the reader, but also like writing for yourself. It's like a mix, um, about like what if you're not an expert at something, if you're not interested in something, a reader can tell. That's what I'll say at the end.
I think that's very true because if you're not passionate about the topic, the reader will know. Readers are very smart at knowing how much of your heart and soul you have poured into it. So yeah, that's really valuable. And thank you so much for your time, Ryan, and thank you for these amazing answers. I'm sure they'll be helpful for whoever's watching this right now.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
It's really great. So thanks so much, and we'll chat up again soon.
Yeah,
Bye.
I'll see you later.
So that was Ryan Fan, and these were his amazing answers. I will leave the links to Ryan's Medium publication and his social media profiles in the description. Make sure to check them out. And if you have any questions, please let us know in the comments. I'll make sure if your questions are for Ryan, I'll make sure he answers them. And thank you so much for watching this. I'll see you again soon. Bye.